Okay, just a quick word on something about the order of operations. The order of operations is how we deal with problems. You might have seen them. They go viral all the time where you have like 8 divided by 2 times 2 plus 2. And people get in these huge fights about this because some people do it one way and they get one answer. Some people do it another way and they get a different answer. And to get what we think is the correct answer here, you'd need to use the order of operations. I think it's useful to know that this is actually something that mathematicians have just kind of agreed on. We've agreed that we're going to use these rules anytime we solve a problem like this so that there's no ambiguity about what the right answer would be. The fact that people get different answers is a good reason for why we might need these rules. So you might have heard about this as something like Pemdas or maybe even Gemdas. Gemdas is the same thing as Pemdas. It's just that instead of a P, you have a G. And that's because the P stands for parentheses or grouping symbol. So in this case, P would tell me that I need to deal with the 2 plus 2 first, right? So this right here is like the P part of Pemdas. E stands for exponents. And so this is like when you have problems where you have something like 4 to the 5th minus 3. This would tell you that the first thing you need to do is first do 4 to the 5th power, and then you would minus 3 because the exponents come before subtraction. Then here's where it gets tricky. And by tricky, I mean mathematicians have maybe lied to you for a while. It looks like the next thing is multiplication, but it's not. The next thing that comes is multiplication and division at the same time. So multiplication and division from left to right. So just like you would read a book, you're going to start reading this expression here from the left and you're going to move over to the right. So there's multiplication happening here between the 2 and the parentheses, and there's division here. And some people think, well, I'm going to multiply here first and then I'll solve it. But because division happens first left to right, you need to divide before you multiply. So I like to write this, if you have to do it, put like the M and the D together so that you know that they happen at the same time, and it's just whether or not you're doing one from left to right. And the same things happens with addition and subtraction. So you could, and this is just making it confusing, but you could write it like P, E, like M, D, S, A, so you know that they're in order. I don't know. That might not help. Really, there's 4 rules. First, anything in parentheses or grouping symbols. We'll talk a little bit more about what that might mean later. And then exponents, then multiplication and division from left to right, then addition and subtraction. So let's use these to actually simplify this expression here. First thing is I'm going to look for anything in parentheses. I have something in parentheses, so let's do that part first. So I'm going to say this 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. And then I'm just going to drop down all of the other things so I don't accidentally make a mistake and put things out of order. I like working vertically like this, where I kind of move down and then down and down, as opposed to moving to the right or to the right, because sometimes that gets things a little confused. Okay, so now we're going to look for exponents, and there are no exponents here, so we can skip that part. Then we need to look for multiplication and division, and we have both multiplication, which is happening right here, and division, which is happening right here. But I need to do this from left to right, so it's actually the division that will happen first. So I'm going to divide 8 divided by 2, and I'm going to get 4. And then I'm just going to have times 4 drop down, because anytime you have a number right next to a parentheses like this, there's nothing left to do in the parentheses. It's just 4, but that kind of means multiplication. So then finally, my total answer is going to be 4 times 4, which is 16. Okay, your work today is to just kind of remember how to do this. I have 12 problems. You only need to pick 5. So make sure that you do. Just pick 5 and then take a picture and upload that to the Google Classroom. Let me know if you have questions.